이제 칸초깡은
어떻게 알고
끝났어요?
오셨대요?
떴어요. 계시는 거.
네?
파리에 계시는 거에 노출됐다.
매일매일 깐쳐 드시는 거 보고.
칸초깡 끝났어요?
그거 이제 끝났어요.
아, 이안 찾으셨어요?
찾아가지고.
아.
다 드셨어요?
네?
다 드셨어요?
열심히
다 못
드시던데.
먹었죠?
아.
날씨가 너무 좋다.
감기 조심하세요.
오늘 맞아서 운동하시나?
아니, 쉬려고 오셨어요.
네, 고생하셨어요.
안녕하세요.
The airport felt like a space beating with a distinct rhythm, as if every voice, step and whisper merged into a single backdrop that faded away as Jungkook stepped out of the arrival's gate. White lights reflected off his silhouette, clad in dark clothing, and though he tried to move quickly, nothing could completely mask his presence, which always made people look twice. Cameras began to appear from every angle, but the most surprising moment came from a small, seemingly spontaneous conversation. A conversation that within minutes became a hot topic on social media. Jungkook hadn't even fully stopped walking when a fan's voice, clearly audible, boldly called out. "Jungkook, is the Kancho-Kkang phase over now?" The atmosphere shifted instantly. The question was light-hearted, playful and very typical of fandom, but its effect was like throwing a stone into the still air. Jungkook turned, his eyes wide, slightly surprised, before his lips curved in the smile that only appears when he feels truly amused. "How did you know I was here? How did you know to come?" he asked with a chuckle, his eyes filled with genuine curiosity. "Oh, it's already posted," the voice replied quickly, enthusiastic yet polite. "It shows you're in Paris." And at that point Jungkook appeared softly, as if he'd noticed how quickly and deftly the army world was gathering at his every move. There was a small amusement in his eyes, an indirect acknowledgement that he was constantly amazed, and perhaps secretly amused, by his fans' unerring ability. Then came the question that sparked a wave of online reactions. "So, is the whole Kancho-Kkang phase over now?" Jungkook nodded quickly, his expression honest and slightly embarrassed. "Yes, it's over." The answer was simple, but its impact immediately made headlines in the K-pop community. Was an era of Jungkook's sweet banter over? Was that phase truly over? ARMY were in a frenzy all night. But the conversation didn't stop there. The same voice asked again, this time with a lighter, more curious tone. "Are you looking for Ian?" Jungkook nodded slowly. "Yeah, I found it." His answer was accompanied by a small laugh, as if he were remembering something that should have been simple but had actually taken him quite a while to walk through the airport. Then came a follow-up question that nearly brought laughter to the small crowd around them. "Did you finish it?" Jungkook shook his head quickly. "No, I couldn't finish it." The way he answered, his voice half desperate, made the moment sound like a scene from a personal vlog. Natural, honest and very human. The cold wind from outside the airport doors hit his face, making him pull his jacket a little tighter. "It's so cold," he said, blowing out a thin mist of air. His fans responded attentively. "Be careful not to catch a cold." It was a small moment that felt so warm, as if the world around them had stopped just to make room for that interaction. The final question came in a joking yet sincere tone. "Are you going to work out again today?" Jungkook laughed softly, his breath still visible from the cold. His eyes radiated the combination of mild exhaustion and determination that had always been a part of him. While the explanation wasn't clearly recorded, the expressions were enough to let anyone know that his routine was something he couldn't easily miss. That afternoon, a simple conversation at the airport turned into a global phenomenon. There was no stage, no spotlight, no script. Just Jungkook, a fan who dared to say hello, and a string of sentences that felt too real, too honest, and too funny not to immediately explode online. In the bustle of the airport, amidst the fast pace of passengers, that small moment became a testament to the amount of love and care surrounding Jungkook. Even in the most trivial things like snacks, the weather, or a joke phase that abruptly ended. And as always, Jungkook managed to make the world pause for a moment just by being himself. In the end, that brief conversation became more than just a spontaneous interaction between an idol and a fan. It turned into a slice of Jungkook's life that's so rarely seen. A moment when he wasn't on stage surrounded by spotlights, trying to be the best version of himself for millions of watching eyes. In that cold airport he was simply Jungkook. Someone who smiled at being surprised, who answered honestly without thinking, who complained a little about the weather, and who tried unsuccessfully to finish a snack. And perhaps that's why the moment resonated so much. Because beneath the global glamour, there was a simple side that made him feel close, real and human. As he walked away, the faint sound of cameras flashing again took over, but the scent of that small conversation lingered in the air, warm, playful and captivating. The world may move fast, rumors may constantly change and schedules may never stop. But for ARMY, that day left one thing that will last longer than any record. Proof that even in the most hectic crowd, Jungkook still has a way of making one small moment feel like everything. And as always, that small moment becomes a memory to be retold, cherished and cherished. And as his footsteps drew further away, his silhouette slowly melting into the flow of other passengers, there was something lingering between the clink of suitcases and the gust of wind from the airport's automatic doors. It wasn't mere awe, nor the typical hysteria of a crowd that had just witnessed their idol, but rather an intangible closeness that only emerged when Jungkook allowed himself to be seen as he was. The conversation was brief, almost lost in the noise of the airport, but precisely because of its simplicity, it transformed into a moment of profound meaning. The staff called out to him, cameras kept pointing at him, but Jungkook managed to turn around once more, offering a small smile that felt like a thank you to anyone lucky enough to witness the scene live. It wasn't a celebrity smile, not a practiced smile, but a smile filled with warmth. The smile of someone who understood that a brief encounter could leave a lasting impression. A smile that somehow softened the entire commotion. Outside, the Parisian sky was beginning to dim, a faint orange hue creeping behind the clouds, and the temperature was dropping faster than he had anticipated. But strangely, it was precisely from that moment that fans felt closer to him, as if Jungkook had shared a small piece of his day, something unscheduled, unplanned and not staged for the cameras. Just a real, spontaneous presence that never fails to make hearts flutter. And perhaps that's why this moment will be talked about for a long time to come. Because in an era where everything feels fast-paced and polarized, there's something so comforting when someone like Jungkook pauses to innocently ask, "How did you know I was here?" Or honestly admits that he couldn't finish his snack. Those fragments, light, funny and human, serve as a reminder that behind the big name in the global spotlight, there's someone who still feels wonder, still feels cold, still feels hungry and still smiles from just one warm conversation.